Hey guys, Cam from 15 back at it with another video for you guys, and I'm back with another episode review of One Piece. I'm not even gonna do my whole spiel. Whatever. I'm behind. I'm doing multiple episode reviews. Fine, great, cool, wonderful, dandy. Let's get to it. Um, Zenless Zone Zero keeps taking up my freaking life outside of work, and I just want to play it so fast because I just want to grind up and get all these resources so then I can level up my characters and continue to be freaking good. Anyways, um, um, so so obviously back episodes. Now, real time, what I'm actually doing is I'm watching one episode at a time, so then I don't have to hard stupidly refresh my memory. So I'm going to be talking about episode 1114, one episode 1100, yeah, 1115, and then episode 1116, which is the most recent episode of One Piece that aired this past Saturday. So let's freaking start with episode 1114, titled for the beloved pupil, the Fist of Vice Admiral Garp. Now, if we remember the last time we talked about One Piece, Kobe was escaping from Full Lead Island, or the Pirate Island, essentially Blackbeard's base. And that's when we got the introductions to all the other characters, all the other sword characters and what their abilities are. I actually forgot to mention, I don't know, I didn't actually go back and rewatch my last episode review. Um of One Piece. But correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, if you want to. But when Kujaku showed up, the girl that does the whipping thing, I forgot to mention. I think I did. She's actually the great granddaughter of Suru. And if you, for I guess One Piece fans that don't know who Suru is, it's the old lady among. It's the old lady. She's part of the like. She's one of the freaking major heads of the previous generations. Basically, Garp, Roger, um, the Grand Admiral at the time. I keep forgetting his freaking name. We saw him. I Why do I forget his name? Oh, Sengoku. So basically, she was like a top major force of the Navy Alliance of the Navy alongside Garp and Sengoku, and she was pretty strong. So it makes sense that her granddaughter would be in the Navy, and would probably be very strong. It makes sense too. It's like, geez, Louise. We don't know Sengoku had any relatives, but the fact like Suru has a relative that's in the army that or that in the army in the Navy, and then we also know that Garp wanted Luffy to be in the Navy, but Luffy was so infatuated with being a pirate, he was like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. So we just have it right then and there. We pick up where we last left off, and basically what happens is we kind of get an interesting angle of how we see how Garp ended up getting to the pirate island. Now in the manga, from what I remember, they didn't really explain how the ship got over the island because in the manga, they just showed it like, oh, his ship, they just had like the pirates. You're like, hey, what's that in the sky? That's a Navy ship. And then Kobe turns around, and in the manga, they didn't show like how he was able to get there. We basically kind of get an intro to how he gets there. He basically, I guess, punches air, literally punches air. Garp literally punches air and makes the frickin' um makes the Navy ship, his Navy ship, essentially like fly essentially overhead and everything. Now it's very funny he did this because you remember back like after like in the post, Water 7 slash Ennis Lobby arc, there was a whole chase scene with Garp and Luffy. And it's like, Garp, you could have did this maybe against Luffy before they did their Kuda burst, and you could have got in front of them and everything. Now, if you remember 2 years ago, I feel like that was like one of the first times Garp was actually seeing Luffy for a long time. And then we know obviously following up a few arcs later with the Marineford arc, it hit him very hard in terms of he didn't want to attack. He didn't want to see Ace die, and he didn't want to hurt, and he didn't even want to attack Luffy, even though he had a chance to attack Luffy. He let up. Um, and everything because, listen, even though even though Luffy is a pirate, Garp still views him as his grandson, and that's a family attachment. So, obviously, obviously, maybe today Garp would probably be like, "Oh, well, it seems like you're strong now and you're an emperor, but I gotta do what I gotta do, kid." And honestly, Luffy might be able to fight. I don't know if Luffy would be able to beat Garp. Now, maybe because Garp's older, but after what we saw with the Galaxy Fist, it's like, holy shit. Maybe Luffy probably would still lose to Garp. I don't know, but obviously Gear 5 changes things, so he probably beat Garp with the craziness that is Gear 5, and plus, like we just saw recently, Luffy in Gear 5 beat Lucci handily, easily, even in his awakened form. He beat him handily when, like I said in that episode review, we remember the struggle it took Luffy to take, um, to beat Lucci the first time, and the second time they fought each other, Luffy mopped the floor with him. Um, so that's kind of the thing right there. I got to go back and rewatch that fight again, or go back and rewatch the Enies Lobby arc as a whole. That arc is a great arc. Um, anyways, you get that whole, so you see that and everything. Now, what happens is, the area, the part where not Luffy, Kobe looks like he's gonna get shot. The pirates basically are like the bullets end up turning into flowers, and the pirates are like, wait, what the hell is going on? There's flowers coming out of our guns. One pirate mentions, like, oh, this was one of Vegapunk's inventions. It's the one of the reasons why I guess he won, I guess, this universe's version of the Nobel Peace Prize, essentially. And the other pirate's like, man, who the frick gives a crap? And next thing you know, Kobe's like, oh, what the heck happened? And then next thing you know, this person calls out to Kobe. It's Hibari, another member in Sword. Um, and if it wasn't obvious when we first saw her, they make it very obvious here. The fact that it definitely looks like Hibari is Kobe's Boa Hancock. Because she has a crush on him now. She isn't as crazy in love like Boa Hancock is to Luffy, but you can clearly tell she gets very flustered, she gets very embarrassed around Kobe, and it's pretty damn obvious that she likes Kobe more than just a coworker. She likes Kobe more than just maybe a friend. She likes Kobe a whole lot. Because we see like she gets very flustered and her face turns whole bright red and everything. It's cute. It's cute. I love the way the voice actor does it. Is really cute. I wonder who they're gonna get in the English dub. I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but it's gonna be very interesting to see who they get as the English dub voice actor of Hibari, which again are Hibari. Um, but it's the same thing. I always wonder that question every time I watch the One Piece English dub. Who are they going to voice act? Who are they going to get as a voice actor to voice this character? They've already gotten so many great people to voice act so many characters over the years. So anyways, yeah, you kind of get that whole thing. She's like, yeah, we're here to save you and everything now. You kind of have it to where Kobe is like, wait, you guys are here to save me? And he's like, thank you. Now he kind of now when Garp, I don't mean to go off a little bit, but when I'll talk about it a little bit more in depth. But when Garp shows up and he talks about it, and he's like, "I'm not even worth saving," I'm like, Ninja, what the fuck is wrong with you, bro? Um, but what happens is it looks like they're going to get another moment. We actually do cut what one we see Kujaku basically cornering the pirates in this barricaded space, and then we kind of have it to where we see Prince Groose. We find out like those little creatures that are those weird navy people that were like still moving even though they were getting their heads blown off and everything. Those were actually Prince Groose's like clones, clay clones or whatever. Um he basically, we end up finding out he ends up calling Tashigi saying like, yeah, we got him, all right. We can all get out of here and do what we need to do. And it's crazy, now mind you, again, they're only going up against the feeble pirates of Blackbeard's crew. And we see what happens later on when we see Aokiji show up. But what happens is, the pirates are like, what the hell is in the air? What the heck? And then they see it's a Navy ship, and then they see like, wait a second, that's Garp. They're like, wait a second, Garp, didn't he retire a long time ago? Um, and no, that's the thing. Now, Kobe sees this. I'm not saying I have an issue with this, but it also kind of goes to Kobe's like confidence thing. I'm guessing because he's just like, why are you guys here? Why is Garp here? Like, I'm not worth all this and everything. I'm just Kobe. Now Garp eventually says like, well, I'm ready. And he's charging up his hockey and everything, and you just see his Conquerors hockey just explode. You have freaking Shiyu, or not Shiyu, Shiryu watching this from where he's at. The other Blackbeard pirate admirals are watching this take place and everything. And basically Garp is making a proclamation. He's like, y'all pirates done effed up. Listen, I came here to save Kobe because he is the future of the Navy, and second of all, he is my damn pupil. You can honestly, God to say, you can honestly probably say Garp also views Kobe as maybe a son of his, because well, one Dragon ran off and did revolutionary stuff, and really his grandson in Luffy, well, he's off doing pirate things. So it's like you can tell like when Garp first brought along Kobe, you could tell he took him under his wing. That's what he wanted to do with Luffy, and you could see that Garp is coming in to save, I guess you could say, his adoptive son. So that's the thing. And then he jumps off, and then he fires this move called Galaxy Impact. And I know 3 weeks ago, this was like the talk of the town just because the animation of the scene and everything. It was a great animated scene. Like it was absolutely stunning. Absolutely crazy. Again, One Piece going all out or Toei going all out with their budget when it comes to One Piece episodes for certain moments. It's just crazy with how this shot in this episode portrayed how crazy the destruction he caused just with this one punch. And it just goes to show you, like, oh, this guy was a problem probably back in his heyday. And it's funny because after the attack is over, he looking around, he like, damn, I guess I didn't go all out. It shouldn't be left like this, which only goes to show me, like, shit, what the fuck damage did you think you were trying to do? I'm like, geez, Louise. I'm like, it sounds like this man in his prime probably could have just destroyed the island altogether. And probably erased off the existence of the map with his galaxy impact. Dang near like a Buster call, essentially. But he over here talking about like, huh, can't believe. I guess I'm losing it a bit, huh? And I'm just like, oh, so you're telling me you could have just legitimately destroyed the entire damn island in one blow like that? Everything's gone. Everything's just literally, it's just a barren wasteland. Is that what you're trying to tell me? If that's the case, then this man, Garp, in his prime was OP as hell. Now, it makes sense why he'd be OP. He was legitimately like, he was freaking Gold D. Rogers' rival essentially in his period. And on top of it, he had to work alongside Gold D. Roger to defeat, um, to, to defeat, the one pirate, Rocks, who had Big Mom on his crew, who had freaking Whitebeard on his crew, who had Kaido on his crew, and many other people who do we know on his crew and everything. Shiki the Golden Lion on his crew, and then plus, it sounds like the way they keep building Rocks up, the fact that he was like this super strong pirate. So we're not gonna see how super strong Rocks is until we get the actual like Goldie Roger true backstory. Well, we did get the backstory, but the backstory in terms of like, okay, maybe the God Island incident or whatever. So that's the thing right then and there. But you just see that and everything, and it's like, what the frick? Kobe's running and everything. He's running over there with Hibari. You know, all the Navy members are welcoming him in. You have Helmeppo basically crying tears because he's like, shit. I thought you were dead, Kobe. And he was not dead. Because Blackbeard said he wasn't gonna kill him because he knew, well, the Navy is gonna come eventually. You do get a funny moment to where Bruce is like, this motherfucker said Kobe is the future of the Navy. I'm gonna kill a motherfucker. I'm gonna kill this guy. I'm gonna kill this guy. He's gonna get it for saying that. I mean, Gujaku's like, oh, pipe down. Who the hell cares or whatever, right? So they're running. Garp is like, well, Kobe. Or one, Kobe's looking at everybody. He's shocked that not only the other sword members are there, but even just Navy people that are just there, that they're not even sword. Navy people are just there. Tashigi's there. Um, so yeah. No, I do not ship Tashigi with Kobe. I ship it's weird. If you're talking about who I ship with Kobe, I personally, if you ask me, I ship Tashigi with Smoker. And who my prediction is, I think Smoker, I know we haven't seen Smoker for a very long time. But I just have a feeling like Smoker, he's eventually going to be like the new Navy Admiral eventually at some point in the future, unless, Oda writes it to where Kobe is the new it- Kobe will essentially be. I would not be shocked if Kobe ends up being a Navy, the whole, well, the Navy Supreme, or the Grand Admiral essentially. What the spot that Akainu's in. But I could see it to where maybe for a few years, as like Kobe's raising up in the ring, and maybe he gets to Admiral level. I could see it to where Smoker ends up being the Grand Admiral for some time, and then eventually he might just retire and just be like, "Here you go, Kobe, you've earned it." You know, you are the future of the Navy. Again, they're teasing the fact like we already know Luffy more than likely is gonna be the king of the pirates, he's gonna be the number one pirate in the land, and obviously it would make complete sense if Kobe would be the Grand Admiral. Because legitimately the story well, if you watch the anime version, the story legitimately, in terms of Luffy's journey, it started off with Kobe and basically Luffy inspiring Kobe to reach out for his dreams. And it would make complete sense. Make complete sense, right? So, um, you get you just have I personally I ship Kobe now, I guess, with Hibari. I kind of for a time did ship Kobe with Rebecca when the lead up to the Reverie arc, when they had that moment where Kobe saved Rebecca, and I'm like, oh, maybe Kobe and Rebecca might have a little bit of a thing going on. I don't know. No, it would be hard to work out because even though she's not a princess anymore, um, her aunt has taken the role of being basically the princess of being the princess of Dressrosa essentially. But she's still of royal blood. So it's like I feel like that would be hard, especially with the fact that she would live in Dressrosa unless she would end up moving over to where Kobe would stay. I guess some probably New Marineford, I'm guessing. Um, but hey, I ship um Kobe and Hibari. I think I'm starting to get on Kobe and Hibari thing. So yes. Um anyways, let's get to it. Let's get to it. Um, because the last part of the episode was quite interesting. So they're running back. Garp is talking about, Kobe. It seems like you're holding that big ball pretty heavily. So listen, my guy, what's going on there? Why can't you break it off? Oh, he says like, he can't break it off. He tried, but he can't. So that's the thing. And then all of a sudden you just see it. Garb's expression changes, and next thing you know, you just see Hibari end up getting frozen in ice, and the other characters like Hibari. And next thing you only know one character that has ice abilities that can do that technique to freeze somebody basically solid. And yes, it's Aokiji, Kuzan Aokiji. Um, and he is right then and there, and we all know he ended up joining the Blackbeard Pirates. Now the narrator comes in and is like, "Well, you see, if you haven't been paying attention, if you haven't been living under a rock, or you just didn't watch the Punk Hazard arc, or you didn't watch anything before essentially the post time your post 2 year time skip. If you weren't paying attention, well, 2 years ago, Aokiji and Akainu ended up fighting to be the new Grand Admiral of the Navy. And the only thing is, Akainu won and Aokiji lost. Um, and we basically kind of get picked up. We basically we get explained like, Aokiji didn't want to serve under Akainu, and I'll probably talk about it in a quick second of why he more than likely didn't want to. And the next episode probably is going to go more into that. Um, Now again, reminder, I'm reviewing these episodes one by one, so I haven't watched episode 115, so that's why I'm gonna get my predictions. and then move on. But even though I do somewhat, well, actually, it's kind of a refresher. I somewhat kind of forgot why he left the Navy truly, but I have an idea of why. It makes sense. Um, but you kind of see what happens after that. Somewhere in the new world on this island, we see to where Aokiji's on this island, and he ends up freezing some members of Blackbeard's crew. Some pirates are running away, and then Blackbeard is there. He's like, "Who the frick could have done this? Who did this?" And then he's like, "Actually, I know who did this." So he walks into the bar. He sees Aokiji right then and there, and basically, Blackbeard's like, "All right, dude, frickin' unfreeze my crew. Solid, man. You need to let do that." And then Okiji's like, "Look, dude, I ain't trying to bother you. Leave me the fuck alone," essentially. And it looks like Blackbeard's gonna use his tremor fruit. And basically, Okiji's just like, "I want to do that if I were you. You're gonna end up destroying those you know, allies of yours. And I know and knew you're a captain. You don't want that, do you?" And basically he tells Blackbeard to end the episode off. He's like, "Look, leave me alone, leave. I'm upset, I'm pissed off, and I'm tired, and I am angry." So that's where the episode ends. You get a to be continued screen and things like that. So the following episode explains why he's working for Blackbeard essentially. It makes sense why he ended up leaving the Navy. Akaino's views are kind of radicalistic in terms of how he views how the Navy should be run. Um, and Aokiji, it makes sense he would never agree to do any of that stuff. Like, we know Aokiji, even though he follows things by the book and he's, an honoring, Navy individual, the thing is, he has his values, and he probably felt like Akainu's values go above and beyond and cross the line because we know what is it, Akainu's, values is like absolute justice. If we have to kill pirates, we'll kill fucking pirates. He basically, and we know Akainu, he wants pirates to basically be wiped off the map. So he doesn't mind killing them. And I feel like Aokiji's not down with that. He's probably more of the thing before he left the Navy. He's probably like, "No, I don't agree that we should kill pirates. At least we can imprison them, and then we can hold them in prison for basically the rest of their lives. So what's the point in killing them when we could just imprison them and they just die in prison? Because it's like we're not letting them out more than likely. Why would we let them out? Um, so that's the thing. But anyways, that was my review. Great episode. Great episode. I very much enjoyed it. And I definitely can't wait to see what episode 115. Yeah, it's obviously gonna be a quick cut after I watch that episode, but yeah, that's the thing. Anyways, yeah. So then guys. Hey guys, Cam for 15 back at it with another video for you guys, and I'm back with another One Piece, continuing on with the part. Now the reason why I said that, blah 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 blah. We're back, we're ready, we're going. You get my drift. All right, we're gonna be talking about episode 115 and 106. No, no, yeah, 116. These episodes respectfully are quite interesting. Episode 115 I thought was more interesting than 116, which I guess I can get into that now. 100 episode 116. Well, actually, let me go by the book. So episode 115, we last leave off in terms of Aokiji being confronted by Blackbeard, and basically he talks about how he's brokenhearted, he's upset, he's pissed, blah 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 blah. Now Blackbeard's like, "You're brokenhearted, you're upset, man, please." And basically he looks to activate, or actually, what is it? I guess you can say Blackbeard took a slight dig at Aokiji by mentioning the name Akainu, and it looks like they must have fought, scrapped, because Aokiji ends up activating his ice abilities, and then you just have it to where Blackbeard activates his dark fruit abilities, and I don't know why my phone's not charging, but anyways, you have that happening, and Next thing you know, you're like, okay, we're gonna see a fight between Blackbeard and Aokiji. But no, we don't get that actually. We do not get Blackbeard. Well, we don't see Blackbeard versus Aokiji, or we don't know what happened. The anime just kind of skips over it, and we get into a scene where Blackbeard and Aokiji are actually partying together and freaking drinking booze together. It's quite a funny scene because, they're making mockeries of Akainu and everything, and they're having a bunch of good old pirate fun and everything. It's like Aokiji, you never would think Aokiji would be basically arm around Blackbeard and they laughing together drinking. Like they're having a good old time. So it's absolutely hilarious about that and everything. So you just see this happening and they're just having a good old time and everything, and they're you know Blackbird's like, oh man, I love you, Aokiji, and freaking um, Aokiji's like, you know what, you ain't too bad, you're not too bad yourself, you know and they're talking about their characters, and then obviously um the fact that they're drinkers and everything. It's funny. It's funny stuff. Now, Kiji does mention the fact a little bit about his fight with Kainu to the Blackbeard pirates. Like, he ended up losing a leg in this by taking a devastating attack, which, geez Louise, it goes to show you, like, the fight between him and Akainu must have been damn near brutal, because it's like, Ninja, how serious were they taking it just to get the Grand Fleet Admiral position? Like, they're legitimately gonna fight to the death. And it's like, geez Louise, this man Akainu, his morals is so crazy that he basically took away a leg from one of his basically his co-workers. That's how desperate he was. So that's the thing. Now, Akainu does make the mention, like, he might be, because the Blackbeard Pirates are like, hey, well, if you got some scars, he might have to have some scars, right? Or I hope you took like an arm from him, which he didn't. And Aokiji's just like, he probably has a few battle scars, but that's the thing. And honestly, to be honest, I guess it would make sense that Akainu would win, because really, let's be honest, Magma would defeat Ice fairly easily, even though ice would be able to cool off magma. Now, maybe if it was like fire, like if it was the flame fruit, or the Mera no Mi, okay, maybe Aokiji has an advantage, but since magma is obviously a lot hotter than, um, since magma is obviously a lot hotter than, um, ice or fire, really, it'd be fairly simply. Now they actually bring up and they ask him, like, hey, do you know the man with no scars? Apparently there's a rumor that you do know him or something. And Aokiji's like, wait, what? Which is going back to what, at the end of the Wano arc, Kid was mentioning, like, oh, I'm gonna go find the man with no scars. And basically, they give him the rundown of the road poneglyphs and everything, and they tell him, like, because remember, at this time frame, this is before the 2 year time skip, so this is happening like directly, like maybe a few months after Marineford, if anything, maybe at least a year after Marineford. So regardless, Blackbeard is like, oh yeah, so apparently Big Mom and Kaido, they each got a road poneglyph, the red ones. Now, apparently, the other two, nobody knows where they're at. Now, apparently, the man who has, burned scars or whatever, um, essentially, he knows where the location is. Um, and they actually do make a mention, because they're like, yeah, he actually holds one of them. So that's the thing right then and there. Now, one of Blackbeard's men's, the one that looks like basically the mime. I don't keep track of these names. Um, he basically says that there's apparently a rumor with the man with burn scars. Apparently, like, he's in a dark ship, and if you approach him, he creates a giant whirlpool, which ends up swallowing you up, and he'll just take you out. And they also make the mention, like, he could be a devil fruit user, and also making the mention, like, okay, he also works for the government. Now that's what is probably is another rumor. Now, again, the man with burn scars. Again, my prediction, who I'm guessing, is it's probably Jaguar D. Saul. He must have found a way to unfreeze from Aokiji's attack way back in the past in the incident on Ohara. And because of the fire, he must have got some burn scars and everything. So he must have retreated back to where he needed to go to. And well, you would think because since Kid was on his way to Elbaf, strictly just to go speak with the man with no scars or whatever, um, he's probably on Elbaf. So Jaguar D Sol is probably on Elbaf, and it would also make the mention. It also counted the fact like, oh yeah, because they made the Blackbeard Pirates like, yeah, rumor has it he also worked for the Marines or the world government, which makes sense because he did. Jaguar D Sol did used to work for the Marines. Now, Shiryu ends up talking about how, like, in fact, the world government has a deep, dark side to it, and they're bringing up the fact, like, well, what if he is a government member? The man with with burned scars is a government member. They're like, and Shiryu's like, well, if that's the case, well, then nobody's getting their hands on that road poneglyph because the world government will do some shady ass thing, and that's going to help prevent pirates from reaching obviously the end goal, which is to get the One Piece. Um, now Blackbeard is like pressuring Aokiji. I almost what? Jeez Louise. He's pressuring Aokiji. He's like, hey, you know anything about this? You know, and everything. Now Aokiji's like, no, I don't. The only thing I know is he references the O'Hara incident, talking about like, I went up against a friend who rebelled against the Marines, and then I just saw a little girl crying, which is in reference to Robin and Jaguar Diesel. So I think you could say he's saying now. It's funny because Jesus Burgess is like, geez, what a dull story. Now, one of Blackbeard's men ends up talking about it, and he's like, hey, hey, Commodore Teach, maybe we should see if we can enlist Aokiji to join the crew because with his power, we could really use it. Now, Aokiji actually overhears this, which it's like, first things first, why would he just openly say that out loud? And Aokiji gets really damn pissed off, and he's like, "All right, now," he's like, "I heard that, and let's be honest, just because we've been getting along doesn't mean I'm gonna join your damn crew, and I'm not gonna let you use my powers for your own goal and everything." I'm guessing we get confirmation of his devil fruit, which is the chili fruit. I don't know if they've announced that in the past. Now it seems like the Blackbeard pirates want to get a hold of him because sure you makes mentions like the chili fruit. That'd be a very good power to have. And that's when Aokiji is just like, oh yeah, that's right. You guys are hunting devil fruit power users and stuff like that. So the thing is, he looks like he's going to attack. Now Blackbeard's like, whoa, calm down, Aokiji. I apologize. My crew member was freaking insensitive to you. Um, but he basically goes on to say, he basically is like asking, he's like, hey, why don't you come aboard my ship and let's see, and maybe you want to come join my crew. Now, Kiji's like, sorry, I don't live by that code. I ain't doing no damn pirate stuff. But Blackbeard's like, come on, man. Listen, you were basically kicked out of the government. You left, even though I wouldn't say kicked out, but he left really. And he's like, where the hell else are you gonna go to? You ain't got nowhere else to go to. So look, we can open up something for you. Plus, on top of it, you don't have to conform to the world government norms anymore. You can finally do what you freely want to do because guess what? You're a free man. And basically, that's kind of the thing. So yeah, and that's where we get left off on that part. And Aokiji kind of has a flashbacks over everything that's been happening and everything. So we don't really see like legitimately, okay, did he take up on Blackbeard's offer? Clearly he had to take it up. He more than likely did because why would he be with the Blackbeard Pirates currently? So you have to wonder like, okay, did he actually do that? Was there some sort of agreements that he agreed to serve Teach and be let Teach and basically have Teach be his captain because it is kind of crazy that a guy like Aokiji would honestly more than likely serve under Blackbeard in terms of wanting to get his goals because we know Blackbeard is no good individual, but Blackbeard did make a compelling case in terms of like, look, dude, you ain't got nowhere else to go. Basically the world government kicked you to the curb. Look, man, this is legitimately your freedom. Why don't you use this freedom and see what our perspective as pirates is? And maybe who knows, you might end up liking it. So that's the thing now, we cut away from this in the next episode. We don't cut back to it. So it might be a while till we see a follow-up to this moment, in terms of what we have here. But you just see the clashing between Garp and Aokiji, and the animation was absolutely crazy. Now, Garp is basically telling Aokiji, like, hey man, why don't you just come back to the Navy and stop this bullshit that you're doing right now? Now, personally, that's crazy. Now, Okiji's just like, please don't do that. I can't do that, not especially with Blackbeard gone. So I ain't agreeing to your demands. I'm essentially a pirate now. Well, he doesn't declare he's a pirate, but he basically just like, look, can't do that. Sorry. This is gonna be a bad look, and I can't mess around with Teach and have him get upset at me. So that's the thing. So he doesn't decide to thaw out Hibari, and basically he continues his attacks, and he's just like, all right. And you just get the clashing, um, between Aokiji and Garp, and it's just crazy because we find out like, okay, um Garp also trained Aokiji when he first got into the Marines. And I thought it was a cool line where Aokiji was like, look, man, I ain't listening to you. I'm living how I want to live myself. So Garp charges up his hockey. And the cool thing is, even though Kiji's like freezing Garp, Garp is breaking through the ice, and he's just like using his hockey and everything to break through it. It's absolutely crazy. And you can see, like, okay, even though Aokiji is strong in his own right, Garp is still pretty damn strong too, even at it is even post probably his prime and even in his advanced age. And he ends up getting the upper hand on Aokiji, basically giving him a resounding gut punch and punching him to this freaking hole, and everything. And the thing is, you kind of have this moment to where Garp kind of looks at Aokiji like, kind of, I guess you can say regrettably. Like, Garp does not want to probably fight Aokiji because he used to work alongside Aokiji. And again, like I mentioned, Aokiji is probably somebody very close to him because he actually trained Aokiji. And maybe Garp is also feeling regrets because he's like, damn it, I let another pupil of mine, I let a pupil of mine down. And maybe he feels some regret because he's like, I don't want to do this, and I'm just upset that because I maybe didn't do enough to help him maybe get the Grand Fleet Admiral position, or maybe do something, or maybe convince him, hey, maybe the Grand Fleet Admiral isn't your type of thing, but stay in the Marines. Or even after, maybe like, you know, after Aokiji left, maybe he feels guilt for not getting him to be like, hey, look, I understand Akainu ain't the best of guys, but look, you're still a good Marine. You still can help, and you can still do things to help the peace in the One Piece world, right? And maybe he feels regret over that. I can understand why Garp would feel regret, maybe not going and searching out for Aokiji, especially with the fact that the world government really ties his hands into what he does, even though he's basically retired. But you can make the argument like he probably was working heavily because of the incidents post of obviously the Marine Ford stuff. So that's the thing right then and there. Now we actually do cut back over to what Blackbeard's doing, and we actually end up seeing the results of the Blackbeard versus Law fight. And the thing is, well, Law has been defeated. He's basically all beaten up, bloodied, brilliant, crazy, tampered with on the ground. And basically Blackbeard's like, look, man, just give it up. Listen, just give me that op no me power and we good, because I could settle for eternal life essentially. Or I could just sell it on the black market and I can make a fortune off of that. Because geez Louise, with the fact that the op no me, yeah, the op no me has this crazy like ability in terms of giving everlasting life, essentially, that could probably make me millions and millions of dollars, right? Now the thing is, he makes the mention like, look, dude, just give it up. You lost your pirate ship, you lost your crew, it's done. And we see the polar tang, it's like sinking, and we see some of Law's other crewmates, and they're like sinking to the depths of the ocean. So Law's ship got the same exact treatment that kid's ship got, which is absolutely crazy because it's like maybe the path that Luffy went to Egghead, it's not looking good right now. You can make the case that all three of them, they in situations where it's like, oh shit, that's just terrible luck. But it's like you would think, just imagine if Luffy went to this area, he might have ran into Blackbeard, or even if Luffy ran into Shanks, I think Shanks would have not done anything. He would have just been like, "Oh, I see that you're grown up and now you're an emperor," and they would have had a good old time. But it's crazy to see like if Luffy went either one direction, the story could have been completely different. So that's the thing right then and there. Now you have it to where Beppel's on the ground, he wants to help Law, and he takes this like pill that Chopper gave him, and he's wondering if it's going to work. And then we see it does work. And essentially, what happens is, even though it's daylight, this pill that Chopper made, or this medicine Chopper made, ended up actually, I guess, activating something within the Sulongs to where they're able to actually transform into their Sulong form during the daytime or during the time where the full moon isn't out. Now we see in this episode he gets the upper hand on the Blackbeard pirates and he absolutely kicks their asses. And now again we don't know if we don't know if a Sulon could actually beat some of the members of the Blackbeard pirates. I don't think it would be able to. Maybe a group of them would. But I feel like the reason why Beppo got the upper hand on Blackbeard and company is because obviously I could see where some One Piece fans are like, wait, why is Beppo kicking Blackbeard's ass even though he's a Sulong? Um, One, it's not a devil fruit ability, so um, um, basically, Blackbeard's dark fruit powers would be nullified. He would probably just have to use the tremor food ability to even get an upper hand on maybe a Sulong. But I think just because they were kind of caught off guard, they weren't expecting it, and that's why the thing now, if freaking Beppo could have stayed in the form, like it seemed like he was only in the freaking Sulong form for like maybe a minute, for maybe like a few seconds, really, to be honest, like maybe 30, 40 seconds. And then he deformed back into his regular self. But he gave him the business, and him fighting against the Blackbird Pirates, essentially gave him enough time to grab Law and be able to swim out to the sea. And they're trying to escape, and essentially Blackbird's telling Burgess, he's like, "Hey, stop them, please." And Burgess is throwing rocks, but the thing is, it's missing, and Beppo can swim because remember, he's a polar bear. Um, and essentially, Law is basically telling Beppo, he's like, Beppo, turn back. We need to go get everybody. Now, Beppo reluctantly, he's like, look, Captain, as much as I would love to do that, we can't because Blackbeard is like right there. If we go back, well, we're gonna Blackbeard ain't gonna let us go this time. And this is the opening we need to take. And he talks about the mention, like, listen, you just have to trust us, Captain. You have to trust your crew. They've gotten so far, and we've been through everything together. We would have never gotten this far if you didn't trust them. So let them do what they need to do, and they'll find a way back to us. Now, we'll see if they find a way to get back to us. I think he has two fishmen on which is I think Penguin and his other and I think his twin or whatever. Um so they'll eventually come to be they'll come back up and they'll get back to consciousness, and they'll probably swim and get the rest of the crew out of there. Now, as for the Polar Tang, I don't know what they're going to do because the Polar Tang is basically just damaged and smashed. So we'll it's going to be interesting to see like, okay, what what are they going to do to get out of this situation, or what are they going to do to come back and meet up with Law? But Law and Beppo escape. Beppo kind of takes him under the water. He's like, "Don't worry, Captain, just hold on. We'll get somewhere safe," and things like that. So I guarantee you, if we ever see Law and Luffy reunite again at some point, which you think at some point they're going to reunite, Law might be like, "Hey, can I be a straw for a short time being because my ass got destroyed." Um, So that's kind of the thing, and basically the narrator, just like with Kid, basically tells the audience like, "Hey, so Trafalgar Law got absolutely demolished, and that is basically it." So that's what happens right then and there. From that which leads us into episode 116. The first half of the episode basically talks about Buggy, or actually, I forgot to mention, there's actually a big portion that leads into it. We actually do get an interesting scene to start where basically a Navy HQ Vice Admiral T-Bone ended up getting killed. Um, and this was partly in due to the cross guild stuff. And we see to where Sengoku and Suru, they're just standing, they're there and looking at this report. And basically they're talking about how cross guild has done more damage than good. So we're already seeing the fruits and the labor of what not Blackbeard, of what Hawkeye Mihawk and Crocodile got in terms of starting this cross guild, with the fact that they're now putting like Navy Navy people with bounty alerts and everything. And you just see like one of the more well-known vice admirals ended up getting killed. And we later find out from Sengoku and Suru that he basically got killed by a damn civilian, and who's in a country that basically had people that die due to starvation, and he had a big bounty on his head. So that person, and Suru made the mention, he's like, look, you know, with everything leading up to the fact, like, this person was in a very poor kingdom and people in his country die of starvation, it makes sense why he did what he did. There's a bounty on this guy's head. He killed it, and now guess what, the man's going to be living rich with his family. Now she does go on and say, look, I don't condone his actions by doing that ain't right, but you can't really blame the dude for doing what he did. And it just really goes to show you, like, now it's creating, now just seeing a Navy vice admiral getting killed by just a common civilian because of the bounty. They make the mention like this ain't good for the Navy, because now it's going to get Navy morale, Navy soldier morale low, and it's going to get maybe have people potentially wanting to drop out because they're like, no, 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 no. I don't want this happening, and I don't want my head on a platter. And next thing you know, I'm going out, maybe hanging out, doing my job. Next thing you know, somebody freaking kills me from behind, and next thing you know, I'm dead. They take my bunny and they use it as a bounty, and they benefit off of that, and they're set. So we're already seeing the cross guild stuff get into motion in terms of how this is operating and how this is going crazy. And it's a good idea from Blackbeard and Hawkeye Mihawk. You kicked us out as being freaking warlords. So guess what? We're gonna put bounties on your head, and we're gonna make even more chaos. How can we find a way to destroy the Navy from the inside? Oh, let's put bounties on their head, and it's gonna test people's will, other pirates. It's gonna not only get other pirates to be more hungry to go after Navy officials, but it's gonna even like, regular civilians, if they desperate enough, and listen, as a human being, you get desperate and you're backed into a corner and you ain't got nothing else left to pull, you honestly might be doing something that, even though you would say you might regret doing a few years ago, at the end of the day, if it's to help you out and it benefits you, honestly, again, if it's for an evil reason, me personally, I don't condone that shit. Nuh-uh. But you can see if somebody's desperate and they're grasping for straws, well, especially when it comes to money or food or anything, you'll see people do desperate things, even if it is not the right thing to do. Because listen, at the end of the day, people will do what's going to benefit them because, one, people are selfish, and then, that's kind of the thing. So that's the thing. Now, we actually end up seeing my girl. Oh my goodness. Who doesn't love seeing Hina? We really need to see more of Hina, bro. Hina's honestly very underrated. She's a very underrated Navy soldier. I know the focus is obviously on Luffy, but it's like, if we're gonna focus a little bit on the Marine side of things too, it's like, can we get more Hina, man? we need to get more Hina up in here. Also, too, listen, Hina's a whole snack. And it's funny because you have other Navy soldiers like looking at her like all with hearts in their eyes and everything. You already know if Sanji runs into Hina, he about to start simping. Uh, so you have that happening now. Hina shows up because, Sengoku's like, hey, do you know where freaking Garp is at? I want to show him like this food option. And basically Hina's like, oh, Garp. Well, apparently he went to go rescue Kobe. Oh yeah, Suru, your granddaughter went there too. And basically they're like, what? So that's where we left. We leave off on that scene. So that's kind of the thing right then and there. Now we cut over to Buggy. Buggy ends up walking out. His crew makes this freaking stupid ass looking Buggy ship. He gets his ass beat up, and you just have it to where like, you just see freaking, uh, just Buggy's crew, most of his main crew members, just looking at it, and they're just like, oh, bro, yeah, this ain't good. This is you like Alvida. Alvida is just like, yeah. It's quite shocking that Alvida hasn't left Buggy yet. You would think she would want some bigger and better things, but it's shocking that Alvida has not left um Buggy yet. But anyways, Buggy's been beat up. Crocodile and Mihawk are talking about how they need um to basically do violence and take out the Marines and everything. So yeah, now Buggy in this whole spiel, he ends up talking about like, his dream to become king of the pirates. It leads into a flashback scene with him and Shanks back then. And apparently back before Shanks took off, Shanks didn't want to go look for, the One Piece. He didn't want to do any of that. He just I guess in a way to treat respect to Roger's death, he wanted to just go out to sea and just adventure around and be a pirate. And he then asked Buggy to join his crew. And we find out some pretty interesting information. The fact that Buggy was going to want to join and travel alongside Shanks, but he wanted to do it to go find the One Piece. And when Buggy realized like Shanks wasn't about that and everything, he kind of got pissed off at Shanks. And he's like, why don't you want to do this thing? Isn't that a dream of yours that you want to do? And I guess you can also make the case, like the fact also now when you talk to him current time, he's probably upset, like, okay, now after all this time has passed, now you want to go look for the now you want to go look for the One Piece. But way back when we were children or teenage boys, you didn't want to do that. Um, and everything. So that kind of gets on the ups. It kind of pisses off Hawkeye, Mihawk, and Crocodile, and basically, Buggy just makes the proclamation like, "Let's go set sail and go out for the One Piece." But Crocodile and Hawkeye, Mihawk do not want that. They're like, "No, no, no. We need to have our cross guild build business. We don't give no shit about no damn One Piece right now." So that's the thing right there. And plus, Crocodile, he made a whole evil organization in Baroque works. He more about business than finding the One Piece, to be honest, in my opinion. Hawkeye Mihawk's honestly to me feels like he could care less about the One Piece. So that's the thing. Now we end up actually cutting over to the Kamabaka Kingdom, and we get the last bit of the episode revealed, and that is basically the return of Sabo to the Revolutionary Army. They thought he was dead, we thought he was dead, but no, he's still alive. We have some, memories like this. We have some new introductions to what is it? Some of the Revolutionary Armies. There's one like cow guy called Ushiano. He's Morley's assistant. Um, this other guy, as I'm looking at the episode right now, hold on. I gotta see if they explain who he is. I don't think they explain who the other guy is. But we get an introduction to another character. Her name is called hold on. um Aharu, who's Bello Betty's assistant. And I like her design. One, she's a snack. She's a snack. Like, again, Oda does not miss when it comes to One Piece girls, even though they all look exactly the same. But she got this like robot ass arm. I'm just like, what the hell did you do to get that? Like, she has a whole pink arm that's robotic, and I'm like, that's cool as shit. Um, the thing is, they're respecting the ship and they're wondering if it's Sabo. The two dudes are gambling, like how much money you owe to see who it is. Now it seems like she was active. Now it seems like Aharu was like activating her her robot arm to maybe fire a laser shot at the ship if it was like an enemy or whatever. Because obviously, rightfully so, that's their hideout. Like if it's a Navy ship, they need to defeat that ship because they're gonna be taken down. But then it's revealed to be Sabo. Sabo, everybody's happy that Sabo's back. You have it to where uh, you have it to where Koala's happy that he's back. She literally starts throwing fists and feet at him, trying to hit him for worrying her. Again, I ship Sabo and Koala. I ship them both. It's cute. It's adorable. And everything. So they're just obviously they're all happy. You have it where Aharu was like, "Oh, thank goodness it's you, because I would have shot your ass down." And he's like, and Sabo's like, "Oh, thank goodness you didn't." So that's the thing now. He tells them like, yeah, this is the ship with Leloucia, and they're like, oh, what the heck happened? Oh, that's the thing. And we actually see it to where I think it was Bello Betty and everything. She sees those same civilians from Leloucia back at the start of the um Reverie arc. And she basically said, like, oh, so you guys did make it safely. It's glad to see that you all are in good health and everything. And she even talks to the one girl who basically that one girl was inspired by Bello Betty. And Bello Betty's like, I heard you guys want to join the Revolutionary Army, and obviously the people of Lelucium they want to because it makes sense. Like literally, the world government destroyed their kingdom, so of course they want to join the Revolutionary Army, and do what's right. So that's the thing. Yeah. Anyways, that leads into a call to where um there's a meeting where Dragon and Sabo Dragon and crap, I forgot. How am I forgetting all these One Piece characters' names, man? Jeez Louise. Ivankov. My goodness, how do I forget them? So that's the thing. Now they're having a meeting. Um and they bring them, Sabo brings the mention like, I'm sorry about I'm sorry about Kuma. And basically Dragon's like, it is what it is at this point. He probably was programmed to go back to Marijwa. We'll settle that at the time being anyways later. Now basically Sabo he gets to the details and he's like, look, all right, I'm gonna tell you what the hell happened on Marijwa. At this point, it's best now to tell you the story because we'll see what's going to happen. So, yeah, and that's where basically the episode ends. So, we're left off a cliffhanger where Sabo is going to explain what happened after the revelry concluded and what the buildup and everything was for, because that's obviously a missing part of like, okay, how did the Revolutionary Army escape Marie what did Sabo see? And does he know the truth of like, okay, how did Cobra actually die? So yeah, but anyways, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. If you guys liked the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts, hit that subscribe button. And yeah, so we'll see. We will see. It looks like next week it's gonna be a recap episode in the slightest. So yeah. So then, guys, that's it. Hit the subscribe button if you want to get more One Piece content or any other anime content I would load to the channel. Till then, guys, stay safe out there and have a great rest of your day. 9% this video, checking out this video. Till then, guys, peace.